No thanks. Sir, no thanks.
This is a personal tick. It's nothing important. I was hoping one or two you might have some story about your experience interviewing some particularly colorful character who was particularly difficult to interview. Not necessarily high ranking, but colorful and difficult to interview. How that went.
I feel like there's many.
So we had one interview with Christopher. I'm not gonna name the name, but who waited for a very long time, and then that person showed up and said, "You know what? I'm not gonna do the interview. I'm just gonna do the photos, even though I don't like to be photographed." But then we see that person wearing makeup.
Yes, this is someone I spent quite a lot of time with, and was trying to meet with this person frequently to sort of put together an image of this person and who they are, and they became I guess tired of meeting with me, and one day just had enough and said no more, but we'll do the photos of Sasha, and yes, came out with the whole thing, and was happy to give him 45 minutes of time that was allotted for my interview.
Yeah, it was I think 10 minutes was scheduled for photographs.
Yes, yeah, 10 minutes, it became 45. You probably want to hear something about, like in 2014 running into, I mean, something that sticks with me because it wasn't a very pleasant experience. It's one of those things where, like, in hindsight, you can joke about it with your buddies over a beer or something. I mentioned it in my book as well. But I got stopped at a checkpoint, one of these checkpoints in eastern Ukraine, and there was a sign, leading up to it, and it should have told me it was a bad idea to try to cross because it said, "Dobro Maslov v'ad," welcome to hell. And I was like, oh great, these guys are going to be wonderful to deal with. And of course, they didn't like the fact that I was American, and they asked me, not very politely, to get out of my vehicle, and they sent my driver on my way. And I was stuck with them for about 4.5 hours. They gave me many cigarettes and a lot of coffee in between all of the threats and telling me what they were going to do to me. And then they said, we have to wait for word from our boss. And I said, who is your boss? And they said, Igor Bezler. And Igor Bezler was this really nasty guy who they called, his nom de guerre or call sign was the Demon. Not a guy you want to cross paths with, and he was the sort of warlord overseeing Gorlovka in 2014. He had a big mustache, and just a few days before, he had carried out this mock execution of these Ukrainians. It became pretty well known, and it was videoed, and he released it, and it looked like he actually killed them. We didn't know for several days later that he actually didn't, and I had to sit there in this dugout in this checkpoint, talking to these guys, trying to calm them down, but also trying to do a little bit of reporting, trying to glean whatever information I could, and listening to Igor Bezler scream over the radio. Who is he? What does his face look like? Does he have calluses on his fingers? Check his fingers, because he wanted to know if I was a sniper. And anyway, things like that. I had one interview. One last one. I'll mention this. Remember, there was a Russian guy by the name of Alexander Borodai, and he was the so-called prime minister of Donetsk when Russia was not at all involved in 2014, of course, in Donetsk, right? And he used to come to the hotel late at night and drink a lot and smoke a lot. And one night I went over and sat next to him in the booth, and we had this long debate about whether or not Russia was involved. And he's like, no, these are just people who want to separate and be independent. I was like, you use the word separate. That's interesting. So this is separatism, or is it annexation? And we had this philosophical debate about words and phrases, and I couldn't get anything really out of him because he was this really slick, Kremlin-friendly PR guy.
He was literally a PR guy. Yeah. His background was in PR.
Super slippery. Lots of those guys in 2014 and stuff. I don't know. These days it's mostly trying to get information out of people who don't really want to give us things because everything is so sensitive.
Was he later killed?
Which one?
Borodai.
Borodai, no, he's still alive.
Besler was
Yeah,
killed.
yeah. Besler, was he?
Yeah, Besler.
Okay, yeah. Borodai is still alive. He's gained a lot of weight and his hair is gray and he's, living it up in Moscow somewhere. Yeah.
Thank you very much.